Hey there everyone, welcome back to my channel. Grab a cup of coffee or tea and let's dive into today's video. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel for more content. It's a simple gesture that would be immensely helpful. Now without further ado, let's jump right into today's video. I spent some time chilling on a swing, observing a spider weaving its web. The sun was about to rise and the spider had chosen an interesting spot under the children's slide in the community park. The web was about 4 inches tall and 18 inches across, a real engineering marvel. I marveled at the intricate web, thinking about how impressive it was that the spider created such a complex structure in just one night. Isn't it fascinating what can be achieved when you remove the spreadsheet pushers from a project? The spider's web was a masterpiece, but the real test was yet to come. The first child down the slide would encounter the spider's creation. Planning is crucial, and the spider had a plan. It might have had a few flaws, but nothing ventured, nothing gained, right? I was cheering for the little guy, even though his plan was a bit risky. As for me, my plan was equally absurd, but hey, I had one too. Only spiders and crickets could mess with my peace and quiet. It was Monday, the beginning of my plan. If things didn't go as expected, the last domino might fall soon. By the way, I'm Blake Fall. After graduating from the University of Michigan, I tied the knot with Shauna. We both found jobs in the Detroit suburbs. Our story is pretty standard. Typical college sweethearts who found each other, tried other things, and eventually came back to each other. I have my insecurities, which sometimes make me a bit overbearing with Shauna. If I don't like how she dresses or acts in public, I tend to call her out, sometimes even in public. She knows where I'm coming from. We used to have endless conversations about actions and their consequences. Despite my flaws, Shauna agreed to marry me. Everything should be smooth sailing, right? Well, not exactly. Shauna and I share a passion for pistol shooting. We've taken various courses, including defensive pistol courses, the NRA-based pistol course, and the ones required for a concealed carry permit. We even participate in shooting tournaments at the indoor range. Shauna's skills are impressive. She's won the Annie Oakley Award for the best female shooter multiple times. I'm decent, but nowhere near her level. Living in the Detroit suburbs, most areas are safe, but there are a few where I feel better knowing she's armed and capable. Despite our interest in shooting, we still enjoy attending sports games like football, basketball, and baseball. While I played all three sports in high school, I focused on my studies in college, realizing I wasn't talented enough for collegiate competition. Now, let's talk about the previous Thursday. I groaned, realizing it would take forever to get home. My coworker Greg grabbed my attention when he slammed his fist on his desk. Curious, I asked him how he knew, and he pointed to the traffic jam at the junction of Highway 7 and 82. A pickup truck and a car had collided, causing a major delay. Greg insisted I take a look at his notebook screen. My stomach dropped when I saw paramedics with someone who looked like Shauna, her distinctive tattooed left arm visible. The people were a bit too small to confirm, but it seemed like her. Apparently, her flight to Chicago had left without her the day before. I recognized the overturned truck, but the name eluded me. Can you grab some snapshots of the crash until I switch cameras? I can save the video from when I started watching. What's your interest? I feel like I know that truck. I just need to jog my memory. Greg sent me the video, and after zooming in, I'm almost sure it's Shauna. The phone call from her last night was a lie. She claimed an uneventful flight, a nice room, successful meetings, and a busy day ahead with a late flight. Something didn't add up. Driving home, I couldn't shake the feeling of being played for a fool. I ran through everyone in my mind, friends, family, neighbors, but found no match. The distinctive blue and yellow stripes on the truck haunted me. Who could it be? Shauna's call at around 7 p.m. confirmed the worst. I let it go to voicemail. She explained her cab to the airport had an accident, leaving her with a gash on her forehead. In short, she missed her flight. She promised to update me when she had more information. Love you, give me a call. My heart hasn't calmed down since I saw that picture. The sense of betrayal has my stomach tied up in knots, and I feel like flames are shooting out of my ears. No matter how hard I try, I can't eat. The unfolding emotions are overwhelming. Realizing my marriage is a sham, I want revenge on both Shauna and her lover. I spent the next few hours tearing through the house, searching for something without knowing exactly what I was looking for. Frustration fueled my search, and simmering rage kept me going. Unfortunately, nothing caught my eye. My next move was to go through our credit card statements. Since Shauna travels frequently, I figured there had to be some slip-up in her purchases. In a way, I was right. After cross-checking her travels with credit card usage, I noticed a pattern. Every other month, there was a trip with no credit card activity except for the airport parking charge. She uses her business credit card for tickets, emails, and rides, while everything else goes on her personal card with an expense report. It's hard to believe she paid cash or didn't eat on those trips, especially after what I saw on the traffic cam. It was clear she was having a 2-day rendezvous under the pretense of a work trip. I needed to find out who she was. That's a no-brainer. I'll ask for a copy of the traffic accident report. Shauna keeps a filing cabinet with her important papers, so I wondered if her expense account submissions were in there. Given her organization, it only took a few minutes to locate the right folder. It took another minute to confirm that the trips without credit card usage weren't reported on her expense account. I wanted to drown my sorrows in alcohol but knew it wouldn't help. Does the duration of her betrayal matter? Not really. Hers is a cold, calculated betrayal, and my revenge will match the depth of her deceit. In the divorce, I'll be fair. What choice do I have? She'll get her 50% thanks to the prenuptial agreement. I wish it were different. Sleep came slowly, and coffee was taking longer to rev up my engine in the morning. When I turned on my phone, there was a message from Shauna saying she would be home later today. I went to work without trying to reach her. After scanning the internet for divorce advice, I took stock of our joint accounts. Opening an account in my name only was necessary. Dealing with the brokerage account was trickier, but I sold enough to reach the 50% mark. I planned to return once the positions settled and transfer my half when the time was right. The house was underwater, so there was no need to take action. Wanting to keep things quiet, I didn't discuss my impending divorce with friends, family, or co-workers. During lunch, I obtained a copy of the police report for the accident. Now, there was no doubt. Shauna was listed as the injured passenger in the pickup truck, owned by someone named Ray Stronzo, a name I didn't recognize. It still puzzled me how I thought I could recognize that truck. At least I had an address for her lover, which turned out to be 3 blocks from our home. A quick online check revealed that Loverboy owned the property with someone named Jill Stronzo. I guess that's his wife. Other web pages I found provided some personal information for both Ray and Jill. It seems both of them attended the same high school as Shauna. When Shauna called around quitting time, I figured I'd better answer or she'd suspect something was wrong. You're back. I've been trying to call you since last night. Is everything okay? I'm surviving. I did find my phone powered off this morning and again around lunch. I guess I should take it in and get it checked out. How was your trip? It was fine until the cab ride. I'll have to cake the makeup on to hide this cut on my forehead. Take a girl to dinner. Sure, someplace light. I don't have much of an appetite. Choose a place, and I'll meet you there. I took the long way to the restaurants, driving by the Stronzo residence without spotting the truck out front. However, a flag on the porch caught my attention, a University of Michigan flag. This was the truck we see when tailgating at the Michigan football games in Ann Arbor. The blue and yellow stripes on the truck make sense now. We always parked in the same area for tailgating, and the Stronzos did the same. I just assumed he and his wife were friendly to everyone. At dinner, I tried my best, but Shauna could tell something was off. Is there something bothering you, Blake? You seem really distracted tonight. A lot on my mind. Don't let it bother you. When Shauna began the nightly ritual of removing her makeup, I crawled into bed, feigning sleep. Shauna slipped into bed without a stitch of clothing, looking for some intimacy. However, all I could think about was the image of Ray in her mouth, and it left me unresponsive. Despite her attempts, she eventually gave up on any amorous advances. Shauna was sound asleep when I left for work the next morning. Searching through her car, I discovered a hidden cell phone in the back seat cushions. Powering it on and reading through the texts confirmed my suspicions. Shauna and Ray had been involved for months, if not longer. One particular text sent me over the edge. Speaking with an attorney at this point would jeopardize the plan I had in mind. I decided to wait and be completely blindsided when she admitted her affair. If my plan worked out, I'd need to act quickly to protect what I could. Over the weekend, I bought what I needed and avoided Shauna. Way. She tried to initiate intimacy on Saturday, but it was just a mechanical act for me. On Sunday night, after a slow sensual act, she attempted to arouse me again, but the image of Ray in her mouth prevented any excitement. Frustrated, she gave up and we drifted off to sleep. Early Monday morning, I spent time in the park, contemplating if this was the path I truly wanted to take. Reflecting on that text message convinced me to proceed. I thought I had things under control until that unexpected phone call. Monday mornings at work were always hectic, with several calls an hour. When my office phone rang showing a private caller ID, I answered. The caller identified themselves as Shauna and claimed to know about my involvement with Ray. An unexpected twist came when a male voice with an annoyingly higher nasal pitch joined the conversation. He disconnected before I could respond, and my mind was racing with anxiety. Duck, 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 I thought. I've been found out. I wasn't myself for the rest of the day or that evening. One of our usual nightly activities was sharing a cup of hot tea, which usually relaxed both of us. Blake always made it just before bedtime. This time, however, he seemed concerned. Are you sure you're okay? You're acting like something's bothering you tonight. I'm fine, just some work stuff that's ticking me off. I need to think about other things. Any suggestions to keep a girl busy for a while? I'd like to say we made love, but it felt more like Blake was avoiding me. He did a few things and it was over. I came to the conclusion that I wouldn't be blackmailed. I decided to wait and see what the response would be. Nightmares about Blake finding out haunted me, and after talking to myself, I convinced myself to stop seeing Ray. Then came another call. This is Shauna, the same voice as before, ready to please me. No, I'm not, and this time I hung up. Not more than a minute later, this is Shauna, followed by details about our sleeping habits and what I wore. I doubt he heard my gasp as he hung up after making his statement. Racing down the hall, I puked in the first open stall. After work, I found a small envelope pinned under my windshield wiper. I cried for 30 minutes after seeing the picture of my kitty taken last night. It was in my bedroom and I felt violated. What have I gotten myself into? That night at home, I kept busy paying bills and organizing things for taxes. How did he sneak in during the middle of the night? Is this a friend of Ray's? Or is it an enemy of Ray's? It's not a voice I'm familiar with, and I'd remember that annoying sound. Blake, do you think we can put a latch on the outside doors? I guess so. What makes you bring that up? Just hearing about recent home break-ins. I don't want someone getting into our house when we're home. I'll put it on the honey-do list. I didn't get a good night's sleep. Every little creak in the house startled me, and I struggled to come to life in the morning. It didn't take long for my nightmare to continue. This is Shauna, the voice I'd been dreading, mentioning a nice pair of pajamas last night. No kitty shots for me. Ready to be my sex slave. Who are you? What do you want? You know what I want. Have you ever tried restraints? Your place or mine? Come to my place, and I'll blow a hole the size of a tennis ball in your chest. There was no response. I asked for and received a 2-hour lunch break. I was a mess. Who can I turn to? I've kept my affair with Ray a secret from everyone. That's not right, is it? Everyone, except for at least one stalker. Blake avoided me again, and now I'm wondering if he knows something. He's not acting like it, except we aren't making love anymore. Maybe we haven't made love for a long time. I've been so preoccupied with having a relationship with Ray that I guess I may have let my whole love life slip. Only getting a couple of hours of sleep is starting to take its toll on me. Blake, I think I'm coming down with something. I'm going to sleep in the guest bedroom so you don't get it. No, with my back I'll move. I like the stiffness of the guest bedroom's bed. I'll sleep there. Blake, I've been having some nightmares. I'm going to keep my gun with me at night. Make a lot of noise before coming into the bedroom. Will do. I don't need Annie Oakley doing a number on me. Why don't I put a handle that locks on the bedroom door? I'll put it on the honey-do list. Sleep tight. Now, I'm really wondering if Blake knows something. What's the sleep tight stuff? He always used to end his good nights with love you. When was the last time I heard love you? After Blake went to the guest's bedroom, I pushed the chair up against my bedroom door. I put some trinkets on the windowsill and slid my gun under Blake's pillow. Hopefully, if my stalker shows up tonight, he'll make enough noise to wake me, and I'll be prepared. This is Shauna.onk. Well, I dropped by, but I don't see a hole in my chest. Nice trinkets. I took a few of them. With Blake in the other bedroom, maybe I could drug him, then you and I can have a lot of fun. That headboard should work just fine for the handcuffs. He hung up before I could react. Racing home for lunch, and, no joke, 3 of the trinkets were missing. I couldn't help but feel a sense of dread. What in the hell have I gotten myself into? If I go to the police, Blake will find out about my affair. What choice do I have? I have to tell someone. I refuse to be some stalker's plaything. Ray wanted to meet up this evening, but I begged off. I have a burner phone in my car that I use to communicate with Ray. I told him we need to take a break, and his text showed his displeasure with that decision. I'm not sure if my stalker found me by following Ray. I'm scared and confused. Should I just submit to him? Where does it end? Maybe I should tell Blake and get his help. My poor performance at work has been noticed by my supervisor. I got the standard pep talk. It's so embarrassing. I've never needed one before. I could feel the eyes and hear the snickering as I headed to his office. I cried for an hour before Blake came home. I cleaned up and put on a little fresh makeup before joining him for dinner. After stringing some bells on the window and door, I felt a little safer. Try sneaking in now, creep. Friday morning I tried to be productive, but that only lasted until his call. This is Shauna. Nice touch with the bells. You had me worried for my nude, but you slept right through it. Did you see that I emptied your handgun and put the bullets on the windowsill? I returned your trinkets too. Ready to wrap those sweet lips around my clock. I need Blake. I can't do this alone. If I tell him, I may have to face this alone anyway. What a mess. The weekend can't come soon enough. At least he won't be able to torment me at work. What if he plans on doing something to me this weekend? I had been in no mood for intimacy, and Blake was perfectly happy avoiding me. With a trip scheduled for next Wednesday, I didn't know whether to take it or cancel it. When is this person planning on coming for me? Is he sick enough to follow me on the road? Blake was sound asleep when I finished my shower on Saturday morning. He never sleeps late. I shook him repeatedly before he grumpily came to life. He sat up and looked somewhat dumbfounded at me. Wow, am I ever out of it today? What time is it? Almost 9. Are you feeling all right? Rubbing his neck, he flinched. What in the hell? I've got a sore spot on my neck. I looked, and there was a spider bite or something similar on his neck. Looks like you got bit. Let me get a patch for you. The rest of the morning was filled with normal weekend chores. Blake headed out for some juice around lunchtime. My cell phone rang and the caller ID was private. My mother hides all of her calls, so I answered. Hello. I tried my tranquilizer dart on Blake last night. I see he's still alive, so I think we're good to go. I'll bring some Kentucky for your bone. I hid, shaking, and my legs were weak. Try as I might, I couldn't contain my stomach. I sprayed half a can of deodorizer to fully hide the evidence. I have to tell Blake. I can't keep this up. I can't tell Blake. I'm so confused. Why did I ever do this? My head was spinning. All of this drama for what? Some intimate encounter. It's not love. Ray was never that great even in high school. What the hell was I thinking to ever get involved with him? Sunday was no better than Saturday. Every time my phone rang, my blood pressure spiked. When I answered the private call, he was there again. Blake was in the backyard working on the mower. Hello, time's up, Shauna. Next time you're alone, your mind's shot. The connection was gone before I could respond. I was sweating and shaking. Sooner or later, I'll be alone in the house. I can't take this much longer. The day dragged on, and I nervously watched the clock. I did not want to go to sleep tonight. Just before bedtime, my world turned on its side. I've got to run back to the office. I shouldn't be gone for more than 90 minutes. Please don't go, Blake. Can it wait until the morning? I won't be gone long. See you in a bit. I made sure all the doors and windows were locked. After closing the bedroom door and enabling the bells, I sat on my bed with the lights on. Grabbing the gun from under the pillow, I checked the magazine and confirmed it was loaded. My heart started pounding when I heard the floor creak. Panic set in. I vacillated, pointing my gun at the door and window. When the bell on the door dinged, I fired. I heard a groan and then fired again and again. The door swung open, and a body, dressed in black, slumped face down. I was trembling and looked down to see that I had wet the bed. My shaking was so bad I had trouble using my cell phone. 911, what's your emergency? I just shot someone in my house. I've got a gun aimed at the body. I'm afraid to go near it. Try to stay calm, ma'am. Can you give me your address? 5 minutes later, although it seems like hours, the first squad car arrived. A minute later, the ambulance arrived along with some paramedics. Within 30 minutes, the place was crawling with police. I wanted Blake. I needed Blake. Where the hell is Blake? In our state, we haven't made my day law. Intruder in your home. Kill them as you see fit. If the intruder died, it was an open and shut case. The paramedics worked quickly to get the man to the hospital. He had lost a lot of blood, but was alive. Blake sits and waits. I told Shauna I was headed to the office. Once in the garage, I put on latex gloves. I found Shauna's burner phone in her car, copied the text that infuriated me, then sent it to Ray. It was unchanged from what she had sent a few months ago. The time sent was almost exactly the same as before. I put her phone back where I found it. I pulled down the street and waited for her bedroom light to be the only one lit. I only had to wait a few minutes. I walked back and unlocked the front door. I hustled away and was at my office soon thereafter. We have lots of security cameras, and I need my access card to get through the gate, into the building, and then into my office. I turned on my computer but just sat and wondered, would it really work? Once I devised my plan, I bought a burner phone and downloaded the Voice Disguise app. I could sense the panic in Shauna's behavior that first night at home. Every night I would mix a sleeping sedative into her hot tea. Once down, she was out cold. That first night, I repositioned her so that I could get a revealing shot of her. I printed it on our printer. The panic in her voice on day 2 was exactly what I was hoping for. Every night, she was out cold so I could make lots of noise and she wouldn't stir. On Friday night, I got up around 3 a.m. and used a safety pin to poke a hole in the back of my neck. Once I detected blood, I flushed the safety pin. Taking 3 sleeping pills, I was out quickly. I mulled over the text from a few months earlier that I had resent a while ago. He'd just left for the office. Get that hard thing over here and fill my warm wet holes. You don't have much time. I figured my time to go home would be about an hour from now or when the police called. An hour meant the plan didn't work. The police would mean success. The call came in on my cell from my local government. This is Blake. Who's this? Sir, this is Sergeant Willis. There's been a shooting at your house. Your wife is unharmed, although greatly shaken. Are you able to come home and comfort her? I'm on my way. I should be there in 10 minutes. Don't you love it when a plan comes together? I arrived home to find the neighborhood flooded with red and blue blinking lights. Working my way past the officers, I entered my house. Shauna leapt to her feet when she spotted me. She gave me a crushing hug and started sobbing. Detective Sampson sat down across from Shauna and me. She was still sobbing and shaking. Mrs. Fall, the name of the intruder is Ray Stronzo. Do you know him? Oh God, no. Oh I'm so sorry, Blake. She started crying uncontrollably. Sorry, Detective. My wife is obviously distraught about this whole thing. Give her a minute to compose herself. All right, let's try this again. It appears you do know Ray Stronzo. Is that correct? In a soft whisper, we went to high school together. About that time, an officer tapped Detective Sampson on the shoulder and whispered in his ear. He stood up and left the room for just a minute. I did my best to look shocked when he returned and started talking to Mrs. Fall. I'm going to take you in for questioning. Officer, please cuff her. Shauna Fall, you have the right to remain silent. When the Miranda was finished, I asked, what's going on, Detective? We found his cell phone. Your wife invited him over this evening. We've got some investigating to do. What the duck, you witch, Blake, I did no such thing. Please, don't go. I need you. Please. I stomped out of the house without looking back. It was all I could do to hold back my smirk. I watched from the driveway as they led Shauna away. She was still pleading, help me, Blake. Loeb and exited through the back of his neck. The other 3 shots missed entirely. As the legal proceedings unfolded, it became clear that Shauna's attempt to frame me was futile. The evidence against her was overwhelming, and her claims of innocence crumbled under scrutiny. I focused on rebuilding my life. The divorce was finalized and I severed all ties with Shauna. I moved to a new place, leaving behind the memories of a marriage that had turned into a nightmare. The spider in the park continued its efforts, weaving its intricate web despite setbacks. I found solace in the resilience of that little creature, a symbol of overcoming challenges and moving forward. Life gradually returned to a semblance of normalcy. The scars of betrayal lingered, but I was determined to forge a new path. As the days passed, I embraced the possibilities that lay ahead, grateful for a second chance at happiness. Epilogue. I observed from the courtroom as she presented her case. She claimed to be a victim of stalking but hadn't disclosed it due to her affair. Insisting she never sent that incriminating text, she argued that my husband framed me. The media caught wind of a plea deal she had been offered. Her overconfidence seemed to have backfired. Guilty, 20 years. I didn't wait for the divorce to be finalized before exploring new relationships. There were plenty of admirers eager to support a man left alone while his wife served time. Shauna's resources quickly diminished in her legal battle, but I was financially unaffected. Even if she attempted to sue, our joint assets were minimal. Avoiding a costly legal battle, she never pursued a lawsuit. I acknowledged the need to address my issues with jealousy and sought help. Thank you for accompanying me on this journey today. Until next time, take care.